Now it's time for the most anticipated comparison review here on Autogefühl. It's time for the Mercedes GLC EQ versus the BMW iX3, the top hitters in this segment here at the moment. Who will prevail? Who has the certain characteristics which are maybe better than with the other one and so on? We're going to find out. Exterior, interior, technology, driving, efficiency, real-world range, and also charging. We'll do concise tests of every segment and tell you what you need to know and which one would we actually pick, because this is also a choice which might be our next personal vehicle, for example. Everything of that now with Thomas Autogefühl in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go, starting with the GLC EQ with this new, let's say, old school Mercedes front grille right here. And this is pretty cool, I feel, because you directly see this is a Mercedes. Before they had this new EQ design language and you couldn't really tell if it's a Mercedes or not when there wasn't a star. Now again taken from very, very vintage models that you can really see it again, either in bright chrome, or you can see here, this is an extended night package. There you have it here in the dark chrome, and also spectacular illuminations also when you open and close the vehicle. You can see the animation right there, so this is really nice. Then you have here also the star pattern in the lamps, and the digital light is the elaborated extended matrix LED. The black accentuation in the lower part and also throughout the vehicle is also connected once again with the night package. This is AMG line, and with the BMW iX3 we also have the M Sport package, so very comparable vehicles. So we really check that the specifications of the vehicles are like almost one-to-one identical. Then here you can see, there you can get the illuminated front double kidney. This is here also then, as I said, M Sport package, and you have the black accentuations. And if you have the iconic glow, then you also have the matrix LED. And here also you have some nice animations when you open and close the vehicle. One differentiation we already have here at the front when we talk about the front, and yeah, that the cars look very cool. We put them very close to each other, but that already shows you, let's say, one of the problems. Because to access the frunk right there, you have to go in the front here with the iX3, pulling it twice. The question is, how often does that happen, that you want to access the frunk? Yeah, with these door handles you tend to open and close the cars just when you touch them. So there we go. And then the frunk is here covered with another manual cover, and then you have some space in the front, charging cable, and yeah, maybe that's probably it. With the Mercedes GLC EQ, it's more practical because I can here press the Mercedes logo and then unlock it right there, and that's it. So that's a very good solution. And then you have space for the charging cable, but even more, you know. So this can also fit luggage if you don't only want to use it for the charging cable. I think last time someone put the charging cable in there wasn't really that clean and tidy and didn't put it properly into the box. Yeah, but I think here clearly the first point goes to the GLC EQ. More practical front here, definitely. There we go. Let's hear about the closing sounds. Yeah, that's both fine, right? Isn't it? Tell me, which one do you find better in the exterior? Here I have to say, because I like this vintage Mercedes design, I like the GLC EQ better in the front as well design, but I'm also fine with the iX3. In the side profile, we have here with the GLC EQ a length of 4.85 meters or 191 inches. That is 7 centimeters or 3 inches longer than the iX3. Here with the GLC EQ, we have 19 to 21 inch wheels. These are in the middle, 20 inch. We have them on both vehicles, here also with aerodynamic inserts. And with the iX3, we are at 20 to 22 inch, so 1 inch larger overall. More interesting are the tire widths. So with the Mercedes, you always have 235 in the front, and in the rear, either 255 or then here 265 as soon as you start from 20 inch onwards. Only the smallest wheels then have the less widths in the rear. And with the iX3, we're at 255 in the front always, and in the rear it's also 255 or 275, starting with the bigger ones, 21 and the 22. You can also get 21 in the smaller width. And here now in this test, we have then the comparison 235 265 versus 255, 255. So yeah, Leah now says, huh? Let's make it simple. The wheels on the GLC are smaller, like less width in the front, but a little bit wider in the rear in comparison to the iX3. The rear comparison couldn't be more different, so to speak. This is one thing I don't like about the GLC EQ. I don't like this black panel, and I think no one has really asked for that. And they said they made it that they can like integrate the light panel together with the opener here for the trunk. We'll soon take a look at that. And the second thing is recently with the AMG GT, which was like heavily discussed, yes, but there again they had round lamps, and here it's round, but why is it cut off in the top? So I mean, that really triggers my OCD. Like, why isn't something that is round a complete circle? Why do they need to cut off a circle? I don't get that. So full circle, less black, then I would be totally fine with it. Here in the rear, I do prefer the iX3, which has somewhat like a more like a cooler design here with the lamps. I feel M Sport with high gloss black. Here, however, to criticize the super small turning indicators. And they're so small, I think, that they're already safety concern, you know, so indicators need to be larger with the iX3 definitely. Also tell me in the comments which do you like now better from the design. And here you can see we have the 20-inch wheels also, 255 front, 255 millimeters in the rear. And in this case, both have the door handles that come out, but they're a little bit different when you then really open them. Now we have to talk about the batteries, because that's a huge difference indeed. The iX3 comes with 108.7 kilowatt hours net battery, and it's the electric charging flap right here, 11 or 22 kilowatt AC, and then up to 400 kilowatt DC, 21 minutes, 10 to 80% state of charge for that bigger battery, because the battery is 14 kilowatt hours bigger. Here with the GLC EQ we're at 94.5 kilowatt hours. I don't quite understand it. I mean, it's not a small battery, yes, but considering this segment and also this price, later talking about the price difference, they should have gone for a battery 100 kilowatt hours plus, definitely, or maybe offer two, you know, and the one is bigger. Charging flap here, sorry, it's a little bit hidden now, is also electric, also 11 or 22 kilowatt AC. And the DC peak is 300 something, officially 330 kilowatt, but it's also harder to reach that. The plateau is also quite good, you know, as for the charging curve, and it does 22 minutes, 10 to 80% state of charge. We'll also do a concise charging test of later on of that. However, you have to say that this is a little bit longer in time, but also for a smaller battery. So battery capacity and the charging speed is better with the iX3. However, now the GLC plays out all of its features, because this one can optionally be equipped with a rear axle steering, 4.5 degrees in the opposite direction, the rear wheels turn and then the front wheels. That makes maneuvering around in parking lot and so on so much easier, and the turning circle and so on. And this one also optionally comes with a floaty air suspension, same tech they use in the Mercedes S-Class, and it's one package, air suspension and rear axle steering. And that, of course, makes the ride more floaty. We're soon going into the details in the driving part. The iX3 comes with a base suspension as standard. Same here with the Mercedes GLC. But on the iX3, there the option is an adaptive suspension, which is not an air suspension. And it was not available from start of orders. And if you watch this video at a later stage, then it's maybe already available. And I heard it's supposed to be available in combination with all-wheel drive models and M Sport package, so it would be available for this spec. However, make no mistake, the adaptive suspension, we know it also from the BMW X3, from the combustion model, it will be better, it will be useful in comparison to the base suspension. So as soon as you can order that, do it for the iX3. It will not be comparable still to an air suspension, which just gives you this floating effect, especially in waves and so on, or also better in potholes and so on. So there we can already see where it's going. The GLC offers more features, but will also be a little bit higher in the price. The iX3 wants to be, let's say, a little bit more puristic, even though that isn't suggested by the exterior design. Very interesting first insights right there. Still to come, the interior, the driving and the charging and efficiency tests and so on. Wow, this is really super interesting also for us personally. Towards the interiors here, starting with the GLC EQ, flush door handles, but what I prefer is that then they are still physical when they're out. So this is better than with the iX3. Mercedes does plan, as base, they already have the classic door handles available at this moment, not in combination with keyless go, but they said, well, I suggested them also, and they said, yeah, we probably think about it, that they will soon also offer the classic door handles together with keyless go, which would make sense, you know. And also very important difference here, in the front with the GLC EQ, we can get the acoustic windows, and that is, we're with a dual lamination, and that is not available for the iX3. Here, only front, in the rear not. For the iX3, not at all. Welcome to the interior of the Mercedes GLC EQ. Totally different design concepts. Here the thing is really, first of all, a lot of ambient lighting. You can see it here going around. You can also dim it, of course. You don't have to have it that bright. You can have it multicolor. You can have it monocolor, whatever you desire. Also according to the sound, whatever. But you can also make it more subtle. And then the screen unit is here in one layer. Digital instruments, main infotainment unit, and then also the passenger display. Here in this case, the hyper screen that goes all the way through. Base would be that they are separated with bezels here. And the black bezels are not that beautiful. You still have them on top of the button. But here, in the bottom, sorry, but here with the hyperscreen, you can eliminate these bezels in between. This is the main thing of that. And it's pretty strange with the passenger screen that in the base, you only have basically like a background. Then you go next level with the functional passenger display. And then next level with the integrated passenger display here, then also with the hyperscreen, yeah. So screens with Mercedes definitely. I really like the air vent style, also with the ambient lighting around here. This decor element here, this is the base one. It feels matte, so the surface is awesome, but this structure, maybe not my favorite one, but you can get different ones if you like. Manual here still with the volume jogs, for example. Not that good with the cup holders because they don't hold bottles tight. In the S-Class facelift, they now finally fixed it. I hope they will do it for the GLC EQ at some point as well. And then in the lower part, you have the USB-C chargers here. Maybe not the best position for them, but they're also powerful enough. And then you have a lot of space here. The armrest here, right and left, could be a little bit softer when you have very long rides. This is the AMG line steering wheel. You also have a base steering wheel, the AMG line with 2 spokes. And important now, once again, with the rocker and the roller. Here, manual roller for the volume, left side to adapt the cruise control. And you can also get the steering wheel if you set a configurator filter with an, like an animal-free material, which looks and feels all basically the same, but it's definitely a good choice. And here the seats, they are animal-free. Microfiber on the inside, leather on the outside. These are the sport seats. And now it becomes very, very interesting. So the base seat does not have a different seat base, but a different, less bolstering here, and this one is a little bit different. Then it rather depends on the material, and the hardest material is the animal skin material. They even put a foam underneath the animal skin material that customers feel less that the Artico leatherette is softer than the animal skin. So still the Artico leatherette is then softer, and I would say even more comfortable would be the microfiber or then the even base fabric seats if it's available in your country. I have not tested the base fabric seats yet. I would like to, but there was no car of that yet. I think this is a good choice here with the microfiber and the sport seat. You have a little bit more bolstering right here. The head restraint that only goes up like this forward and backward, but it's really tall. So it also fits tall adults here, so that's then fine. And the interesting thing is that here I feel that the sport seat in the GLC EQ is actually one of the best choices, like it is right here. And the sport seat in the GLC EQ is more comfortable than the sport seat in the iX3. However, the comfort seat in the iX3 is better than both sport seats together. So the most comfortable seating would be the comfort seat with the iX3, and then second place, the sport seat with the GLC EQ. Seat portion over for this vehicle. But very important to know, because there are a lot of questions that I'm also getting always personally. Then the iX3, you can get it with a closed roof. The GLC EQ only with the glass roof, optional with the illuminated stars and so on. And this one also has this digital shade in it if you want that. So you can have this here, the segmentation, hard to see at the moment, but you can also set it full clear again. But that's just playing around. The heat filter is directly inbuilt always from standard, and we have to say, although I'm not a fan of glass roofs here, of the fixed glass roofs, the heat filter in this vehicle is so good that you hardly feel the heat there. Recently in the Volvo EX60, it was so hot underneath the glass, you could feel it. Here, the filter is extraordinarily good, so you don't have to be afraid of it. That was very important for me to say, and we soon have to do another test when we put the iX3 in the sun also for a couple of minutes and then feel also how it performs there, because there's also on this park deck a lot of sun out there. Yeah, very interesting to see these differences. The infotainment system itself, by the way, is also easy to control. Burmester sound system, of course, very important, especially with the new intensive sound profile. This is the best system here in the segment. We felt that it's even better than the Bowers & Wilkins in the Volvo EX60. That would be place 2. Then comes the Harman Kardon in the BMW. But here the Burmester sound system is a unique selling point for this vehicle. It is so good that we sometimes even get goosebumps and tears listening to our favorite songs. So the sound system would actually be a reason to go for this vehicle. It's so good, really. Cannot stress that enough. Recently also had it in the CLA. So I like the cockpit setup, yes. Maybe a little bit less black bezels. That's the thing. And we'll soon see the different philosophy in the iX3. Not to forget to mention, we also have a big box here for the head-up display. Door closing sounds, I think fine with both, definitely. Here you can see again this flush door handle thing. And here really the difference is that here, then you don't have a physical feedback. That's it. So yeah, that's a little bit better than with the GLC EQ, I feel. Now the cockpit of the BMW iX3, it couldn't be more different from this cockpit layout. And in a way, this is also form follows function, because they put the infotainment screen closer to you, that you can easier control it while driving. For example, also the climate unit, which in both cases we don't have a physical one, sadly. But then again, the instruments are further away, that they are already in the longer focus for your eyes. That makes totally sense, this so-called panoramic vision. They also offer optionally a head-up display. You can get a head-up display for both vehicles, actually. So from this philosophy, I can understand. If the screen needs to be cut out in this very unique way, I don't mind personally. Some do, but it wasn't clearly necessary, you know. They just want to do it to be a little bit more fancy, but I don't see the big necessity for that. And also the steering wheel design, I think it's a little bit over the top. This is the M Sport steering wheel. This one already looks most normal with the spokes here. The other ones have the spokes vertical, which looks even a little bit more weird. So design-wise, I would have gone maybe a little bit more conservative with the steering wheel, also with the illuminated buttons. Not my favorite ones, actually, because they give you some kind of feedback, but a little bit weird, I have to say. What is excellent with the steering wheel here in the iX3, however, is how your thumbs can grab in there. That is one of the best to control steering wheels with that. You have such a great control and grip of the steering wheel, so I would like to keep this one, but then make the design a little bit more normal. But as I said, the M Sport steering wheel, available in all trims, looks more normal and is always an animal-free material, and BMW is leading as for that one. This here feels better and softer and is more durable than the animal skin materials, so this is very well done. And here we also have the sport seats for the iX3, and they look amazing. So from the looks, they are the best seats overall, I think, in the whole segment here, also in this comparison. And they have the soft leatherette here and then microfiber on the outside each. So beautiful job. Also illumination here. It's also adjustable, but this one, the head restraint, adjustable only in the menu. You can see it here. This is the lower position. This is then the higher position. It also fits for me like this. However, you're going to say in the upper part, they are more and most comfortable, how they cage you in, I would say, especially in the shoulder area. But the seating depth right here, where the sit bone area is, like here, this is less than in the GLC EQ Sport seat and also less than in the comfort seat of the iX3. So again, if you want the most comfortable seat, go for the comfort seat in the iX3, available in fabric in Europe, for example. Other markets are optional then with the high-grade leatherette, with the Veganza, they're top-notch. And seat cooling, not available at the date of the filming of this video, but BMW has promised that seat ventilation will also come for the iX3. For the GLC EQ, it is available for the Artico seats, for example, but not for the microfiber seats. And for which exact seat it will be available? Probably for the comfort seat with Veganza, the ventilation in here for the iX3. So waiting on that definitely. Then we have the glass roof. Here an option, you can also get a fixed roof. This is also in the glass roof. There would be a manual shade available additionally, but no other options or something like that. And we soon do another glass roof heat development test there. Then here in the dashboard, you can see the ambient lighting can shine through. This is like a fabric covering. Maybe with a facelift, they also offer some leatherette, because now with the i3, with the introduction, this is in most cases then leatherette, unless you have an M Sport model, then you have fabric again, unless you de-opt that and go for the leatherette again, because that was also the customer feedback. The interior build quality is also really nice. Both are on a very high level there, definitely, I like that. And also this one has a better build quality than the X3 combustion engine. As for the elbow, I would say, I think it's a little bit softer than in a GLC EQ here for elbow left and right. Yeah, the middle console, however, you have to fold up. That's not that practical like the split opening, and there's also not so much space underneath, gotta say that. But then again, we have better cup holders with this 3-dot adaptive design, open design right here, 2 USB-C chargers there in the front. Easier to access, but then again, maybe not that clean when you put it underneath. But there's even more space underneath available if you like that. So definitely going back and forth, pro and con with that one. The infotainment system itself here is also has this typical structure, which we also maybe know from Tesla now. Meanwhile, you can go through these different menus. You also have a home screen where you have the car built internal map. Both offer Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, are relatively easy to control. Maybe the Mercedes system has a little bit better overview in a sense, but then if you go like searching for very deep functionality, then again this one is maybe better, because you have this, like this longer list on the left side here. So yeah, pro and con here. To deactivate the EU speed chime law, by the way, in the Mercedes GLC EQ, you have like a speed sign button on top, or you press and hold the volume button. Here now, that is when you start the vehicle, let's say, there it is. Then you press this button to deactivate it. It's not possible, you don't have a set button for the cruise control anymore. Before it was also possible with that with BMW models. That's not available anymore. So here, by the way, also here like manual up and down, in and out from the steering. Find a good position right there. So very different cockpit layout, but you can understand both. Form follows function is better here. The Mercedes GLC EQ is maybe, let's say, more used to. It's a really tough question. So this one is a little bit more futuristic. I can't really say. I like both, for distinctive features. So I get along with both of them. I would not say that I have a clear favorite as for the interior. Do you? Now rear seating of the iX3. Here also everything soft touch. Here in this case microfiber covering, for example. Hardback in the lower part again. Isofix also on the inside with a nice cover. Soft the leatherette here, also nice in the comfort. Then folding on this one, adaptive cup holders here with some lips. Here the difference is that, well, you have the manual seat folding, but then again here you have this cargo position, or more upright and more backward, so you can vary that a little bit. And there's also a little bit more legroom. So although the GLC is the longer vehicle, it always depends also. I think the seats are more voluminous in the GLC. That's maybe the thing. I have a little bit more legroom here, but the seating comfort is, I would say, comparable. Here, I think the headroom here is comparable, but there you can see I'm sitting, a little bit further behind. Then it gets a little bit closer with the headroom in this area here with the iX3. Rear seat comparison here, everything wrapped and nicely covered, so that's cool. Burmester sound system. That's of course a very nice option always. Hardback in the lower part. Then the seats, we also have the sport seat microfiber setup here. Isofix on the outside each. This one here to fold down. Then we have a holder and adaptive cup holders. And well, as for the seating comfort, I mean, you sit pretty much upright. Headroom here to this glass roof with 199 seats for two. It's fine. Not too much legroom when I'm driving as a tall driver, but it works. Two USB-C chargers there in the lower part. So yeah, not the worst, not the best. Mediocre seating comfort, I would say. It's okay, but nothing special, but also not bad at all. And as for the adjustment here, yeah, that's it. So there's no possibility to go steeper or more backward. Now, trunk or boot comparison. And if you have the 400 DC converter, which you need to check if it's standard or optional in your market with the GLC, then it's both 5 or 20 liters. However, the measurements are somewhat different and there are different features. Here, you grab underneath, here you flip the logo. And then here with the GLC EQ, you have the roller. Maybe it's easier, I would say. It's also then smaller to store, for example. And here also we have the remote fold. That's of course a very, very good thing to have, very easy. And then here is a little bit more than 1 meter or 40 inches in width and 1 meter or 40 inches in length. Yeah, this plastic part, this needs to go, I think. And then the total length here with the GLC EQ is 1.85 meters, 73 inches. Here it's a little bit round from the cutout. And we had 27 inches or 70 centimeters. And depending on the 400 volt DC converter, because again, it's not standard for the GLC EQ here, you can have this lower floor part, then you have even more height. So this is actually quite cool. And then you're here at 30 inches or 78 centimeters. And I heard that if you don't have the converter, it would go even a little bit lower then. But this one here is equipped with the 400 volt converter. There we go. And then over to the iX3, where we have here like a little bit more narrow, 1 meter or 40 inches, but then here it's a little bit wider even, like this. The length is here comparable, more or less. To fold it, I already did with 1/2. This is missing here, you have to go around. It's of course then a little bit annoying for a vehicle in that price segment. And then let's see, from total length, we end up with 1 meters 80 or 71 inches. So yeah, maybe it's a little bit more flexible here in the width, but the rest is maybe a little bit more practical with the GLC EQ. And here also, this is a very big cover here. Maybe that helps a little bit with sound installation in the rear. But of course it's really bulky then. You can still store it underneath, yeah, it's like this. And then I mean, surprisingly, it still fits underneath, even if you don't expect so. But here to measure the height, it's like 70 centimeters, 28 inches. The cutout here maybe is a little bit more practical, but then you cannot put this one here in the lower stage. This is fixed like this, and that's it. Some more space here underneath, and there you can also put then the cover, so that would actually work. You always just have to remember, oh yeah, that, wow. That was the right way. There we go. Yeah, but overall, due to this lower stage of the bottom, plus the remote unfold, plus the roller, I think the GLC EQ is more practical in the everyday usability, even though the size doesn't matter that much. By the way, also very important to mention, the acceleration difference here is huge. We have 4.3 seconds, 0 to 100 kilometers an hour for the GLC EQ. And we have here 4.9 seconds for the xDrive 50 for the iX3. And one of the reasons is that the GLC EQ uses a 2-speed concept, so there are 2 gears in that one. The first gear can be like drawn from 0 to 100 in that case, otherwise it shifts up a little bit earlier. So this one here has AMG-alike acceleration figures. That's very interesting to know. Then, this, by the way, the GLC 400 4MATIC, so both are all-wheel drive, one electric motor in the rear, one electric motor in the front. And why are we in the sun right now? First of all, we were in the parking, like in this parking lot, because the cars can be seen better when it's like really harsh sun. You cannot see the silhouettes of the car that well, but now we're doing a test also, and we'll later on give you the results. both have the glass roof, and we want to test which one gets hotter from the inside than when we push the hands against it. Now it's waited about 15 minutes and then 30 degrees Celsius, 90 degrees Fahrenheit. Sun, you know, like really, really high still. Let's see if I get slain down by the heat and how hot it is from the roof underneath. Let's see, GLC first. It's actually not too bad. And yeah, you feel the heat, so it would be better with a closed roof, but it's astonishing that it doesn't get hotter yet. So I think it's quite okay. I think Leah will also test it soon, the comparison. Let's see then in the iX3 if it's any hotter. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's not that bad yet when seating down after this 15 minutes, but you feel it when you feel it with your hand.
Really?
Like the glass is much hotter. You want to try? You want to try?
Switch the camera.
Yeah.
Oh, yo.
That's really hot, right? I mean,
Hot,
the glass roof.
Yeah.
So let's see. Comparison.
Yeah.
It's colder, right?
It's colder.
It's also warm.
It's also really warm, but
yeah. So
it's different. Yeah.
also not only the top part, but also like here the side windows. So better insulated against the sun with the GLC EQ. Yes. Interesting. Starting with the GLC in sport mode. Let's go.
Whoa.
That was 50 to 120. Wow. This is 4.3 seconds, 0 to 100 kilometers an hour, and that was even a little bit uphill. So that is really a performance SUV already. So, I mean, it would be already an AMG model in the combustion engine sense. Let's go further. That was 120 to 170 kilometers an hour. So quick, extremely quick. It's literally an AMG electric model already as for the performance, and here 130 kilometers an hour, and there I feel it's very silent. Here 120, here at the moment 120 kilometers an hour, 130, around the 70-80 miles mark, and this is also the predominant motorway speed. So overall I feel it's very silent here. We have the insulation here, the acoustic windows in the front, and we do feel that also in comparison to the iX3, that this one is more silent at higher motorway speeds, and especially at the most common motorway speeds, definitely. Then of course the air suspension. Here in the sport mode it's a little bit stiffer, and when we're in the comfort mode, then we have this softer effect that it evens out everything in a very, very smooth way, and that is indeed much more sophisticated. I mean, we've been driving the iX3 already many times. Soon we have the next driving part to even get into more nuances, but we already feel that the air suspension here is a game changer as for the suspension feel. So, like, especially when we have some waves in the road, it's evening out everything here, like like you're a baby in the cradle. And this is the air suspension, the same tech that is used in the Mercedes S-Class, and you do feel that. Yeah, I think it's more silent with the acoustic windows here. Now here at 140 kilometers an hour, like towards 80-90 miles an hour. It's really cool, super relaxed feeling. The steering at the same time is also precise, has no dead zone area. That's also fine. It's such a relaxing feeling, definitely. To get like this noise insulation, especially in front end, together with the air suspension and the very calm feeling overall. So the smart #5. Of course, platform-wise, not related. The Mercedes has a 50% share in the new smart project there. So this is here definitely a great Autobahn vehicle. It's just like the GLC combustion engine. However, this one is even smoother because you have the electric drivetrain. It can be spontaneous and very active, as we've shown to you initially, but it can also be smooth. And just think about it, we're driving here 150 kilometers an hour, and it really feels like nothing. Even your lane changes at higher speeds car remains so stable, and although the air suspension is so soft and comfortable, it's still super stable here in lane changes, and there's always more power left. So even here at 160 kilometers an hour, when I pin it down, look at that, how the car is still accelerating. It's incredible. And this one here has the 2-speed concept, means we have like a second gear when it goes like above 80, 90, 100 kilometers an hour for more efficiency at higher speeds. At the same time, you have a better acceleration at lower speeds. And this is also what's making this one here, the GLC 400, 0.6 seconds quicker in the acceleration in comparison to the BMW iX3 xDrive 50. So I have to reduce speed now. And often that's the sign that you're overtaken on the right, because when the people on the right are not obeying the speed limit. So there we go. Now we can go to the right lane. Wow, super smooth and comfortable ride. So I love the suspension. The air suspension is just a dream. Perfect suspension setup here for this vehicle, definitely. And I also really like the noise insulation. So these would be my two main factors then here to go for the GLC. This one does have, like a quite nice steering input. And this has been developed by Mercedes over time and time again now, that it's just crisper, in the steering response. It used to be kind of weak, but in the recent years they fixed that. And now we have very good steering feeling here also with the Mercedes. Let's see here about the assistance systems. So far, keeping us good in the lane. I think they did a good job here. Then here also speed is being reduced again. The only thing that is not there yet, I cannot take my hands off the steering wheel. That is possible in the iX3 up to 130
But Mercedes told us it will coming soon, maybe.
Secret info?
With the over-the-air update. Yeah.
They are planning on to do that. They couldn't really exactly say like.
Also good for us to know.
Yeah. But they plan to do that or to offer that as well. I think that's also something that both Mercedes and BMW went level 3. Then they say, maybe it's not the proper use case. Then went back to level 3. Let's improve level 2 first. Went back from level 3 to level 2. Let's improve that first. And now Mercedes has seen what BMW is doing, and then they say like, hey, we want to do the same thing.
Yeah.
Very interesting development as for that. What do you think about general like suspension, driving, insulation?
It's awesome. I love the GLC. Yeah, but I think the sporty driving is a little bit better with the iX3. And the ACC, the whole system with the hands-off driving and stuff like that is better with the iX3. Yeah. And I do like the exterior maybe a little bit more. And the interior I like more with the Mercedes. Yeah. It's hard. It's a tough choice. Yeah. Maybe. Yeah.
And the prices, of course, also a thing. We're soon going to talk about the prices as well.
And the battery. We also talk about that. Yeah.
Battery size, of course.
And charging.
Efficiency, range, and so many factors playing a role there. I mean, we can definitely always say that both are really
incredible.
Great cars,
Yes.
But the riding here, so smooth and comfortable.
And for the city, we have a lot of city driving in our hometown. So the air suspension is there. A little
rear-axle steering, of
very
course.
Good choice there. Yeah. Tough choice.
It's getting tough, but to confirm, see how it goes, we do our efficiency test now, and then of course hop over onto the iX3.
Yeah, and a charging test.
Oh, and charging is of course. All right, first charging stop after about 400 kilometers, 250 miles. This one is capable of 350 kilowatt, so the station should not be the limiting factor for the vehicle. Let's see what we can score. Also about 10 to 80% state of charge. And you can see here from the inside of the vehicle, already got some percent in. And here at 250 kilowatt, so good start already. By the way, here it says Ursachen, is the German for like the reasons for that. Here the car says at the moment that the charging station would be the limiting factor, so that the car could actually do more. It always depends, It's really hard to find out always. And here that's very interesting, you can see it in detail. So here the car said it could at this moment charge 280 kilowatt, and it does about 250. and it blames the charging station for that. I mean, it wouldn't be the biggest difference though, but still interesting to know. 55% state of charge and still holding the 200 kilowatts, so the charging curve there seems pretty flat. Now closing into 80% and it's still at 132 kilowatts. So overall, I think good average. Let's see how many minutes we could score 12 to 80%. 80% is done, and we couldn't actually check, like the car doesn't give any statistics afterwards, sadly. And at the charging station, the monitor was broken, so we couldn't check the monitor at the charging station. The only thing why we now exactly knew, but when like manual watched the clock before, or the watch, and also in the Mercedes Me app, it gave like a note in the smartphone, hey, like for like 22 minutes ago you started charging. So that's why we know it took 22 minutes. That's exactly the official figure, 10 to 80% as
Very
promised.
quick, yeah.
Just quick.
We're happy
decent.
about it.
And what also worked very well here is plug and charge.
Yeah.
So I didn't even hold the charging card. It just plugged in and
Perfectly,
like
yeah.
the car is registered like in the background to that, and it directly started charging. That was very easy. And you've maybe already seen our iX3 charging test where it directly jumped to 400 kilowatts. And then we took some 18 minutes from 15 to 80% state of charge. So as I said, a couple of minutes quicker, whereas the battery is also larger. So this point clearly goes to the iX3. Now the BMW iX3 in the driving. Super excited to compare it now directly. Yeah, here the
corner is perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. I mean, it is the driver-focused vehicle. So also when it goes from left and right here, that is amazing.
And there the seat hold you very tight, no?
Yeah, that's
the
good.
Sports seat here, yeah.
That's the good thing about the Sport. A good point from Leah. And we also like compared it off camera already a little bit from our so far experience, and especially when you have like here a lot of cornering. It is the sportier vehicle here, and that's beautiful. It hands like a sports car.
Yeah.
You know, it's great. Oh, there it is. BMW Neue
Nice
Klasse.
one, yeah.
You saw where they took the inspiration for the front grille there. Pretty cool.
We booked that one.
Yeah, we booked it as a, as like special request. Yeah. So the thing is really like the GLC EQ has this soft air suspension, which is awesome in the floaty ride. Unless you go like for an Alpine pass.
But you less the sporty feeling with that.
Yeah,
right?
that's the thing. That's the thing. So the sportier feeling here in the iX3, we immediately feel that. And it also really helps the passengers. So also when Leah was driving, we also switched it a little bit around. And so as a passenger, I feel, let's say, also more connected to the iX3. I get less sick in corners. However, when you're going straight on the motorway and you don't have so much back and forth, then again, as a passenger, it's also better in the GLC EQ because of the floaty suspension.
And you
also,
do have booming noises here.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
good point.
Yeah.
So when you, that's especially when the rear axle goes
when it's here
over some
really,
bumps.
yeah, when it's here really bumpy. Yeah.
And you don't have that at all in the GLC EQ. It's a good point from Leah because she's always very sensitive as for these acoustic things. At slower speeds, it's also perfectly silent here, you know. But we're soon going to test it, how it behaves on the motorway. And when the road is even, it's also totally fine. But as soon as it gets bumpy, you hear from a tendency have more booming noise, as she said. And also, it's just less comfortable. So definitely stick 20-inch wheels with the iX3, and as soon as the adaptive suspension is available, go for it. But it cannot keep up with the air suspension of the GLC EQ here, like this, you know, like when you go over like manhole covers in the road and so on. There, the GLC EQ is just so much more comfortable.
Yes.
All right, and now we've switched to the motorway and directly start with one of the most impressive features here: hands off at 130 kilometers an hour.
So cool.
Wow.
Yeah. It's
really
very
awesome.
impressive, yeah.
And so smooth that you can hardly imagine that you're not doing that yourself.
Yes.
Wow. That's a unique thing, but it's supposed to come for the GLC EQ later with the software over-the-air update. We're not sure yet when. But this is so well executed here. It's amazing.
Big
really
point to
amazing.
BMW for that. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah.
Absolutely. So this is
and you feel really, really safe with that. Yeah.
Exactly. And with the GLC EQ, actually, we have now deactivated the... I mean, you can tip the indicator and then do a lane change. You can do the same here. the alternative would also be to look in the side mirror. Both will work with the BMW. With the GLC, you only have with the tipping of the indicator, and we have deactivated that function with the GLC because it was just too nervous. You know, it was too abrupt. This one here was, I mean, it's always going so smooth, even in the automated lane change, that it's amazing. And this is the first vehicle where Leah actually said you can keep all the assistance systems in, and she's fine with that. You know. Wow. Suspension-wise, of course, is the difference here on the motorway.
And it's louder in here.
It's also louder. Yeah. So now it should also. I can, by the way, take a look at the side mirror. That's the lane change. Did not catch the speed from the top there, right? It does catch the speed from the normal signs, and here also the thing, you can at any time overtake yourself and do the normal driving yourself again.
What is the co-driving experience?
What was it again? A symbiotic drive. Symbiotic drive they call it, and that's really true because there is no transition between driving yourself and being driven because it's so well done.
It's a tough choice.
It's a tough choice. I mean, when the motorway here is well done, then you don't feel a big difference between air suspension.
But here is a little bump.
Now, like, in the bump.
Yeah.
That with the GLC would be like with the air suspension.
But in the corners, it's perfect here.
Yeah, it's so much fun. Even like when you do a lane change here at higher speeds, it feels like a sports car. It's great.
Really, really.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And also for the passengers, and Leah has been driving earlier, me as well.
Yeah.
And when you're driving sporty, you feel better and safer as a passenger in the iX3. And you don't get sick. Also, when you go like an Alpine Pass or something. But then again, when it's bumpy road, you rather drive straight, long-term motorway, then again you feel more comfortable in the GLC EQ also as a passenger. And for example, sometimes Leah drives. I'm then, this is also my suggestion for the new YouTube channel, Leah Drives. And then I'm in the rear and working with my laptop. And in the iX3 I get crazy because it's so bumpy that you can't work with the laptop in the rear in the iX3. It's not possible, it's so bumpy. But in the GLC EQ, it's possible actually. Sport mode. Let's see. Because now it's unlimited speed. We just need a safe way to go to the left lane without, Leah's already getting.
I'm leaning back now.
The GLC EQ has the better acceleration figure, yes. But still, this one is no slouch either.
What is the difference? 0.6 seconds?
It's significant.
It's significant. Yeah, okay.
And here, left lane, and let's see, acceleration, we're at 100 kilometers an hour. Let's go.
Woo!
And 140. Woo! I mean, it has more than enough punch, no doubt about that. And feels so safe and so stable on the motorway. It's an awesome driving feeling as well. So we will pick one here today, definitely. But what we can already say is you can't be wrong with either one. So they both have their unique selling points. Both speak for themselves. This one here feels so sporty and great in the driving. I mean, I would like to go racing with this vehicle, no doubt about that.
Nürburgring would be fine every day.
You can go on the Nordschleife with that vehicle, no doubt about that. With the GLC EQ, maybe not so much fun to drive, but then again, such a great comfort. And also here at 160 kilometers an hour, 100 miles per hour.
Yeah, it's really, really loud,
I mean, it's still okay, but I mean, it's way noisier than the GLC EQ, so the lamination here is missing. Also, the window is getting hotter from the sun in comparison to the GLC EQ. Also, the roof on top, we tested that earlier. Yeah, it's really tough, because when we were starting driving the GLC EQ, we both said like, it must be clearly the GLC because it's so comfortable.
Then you drive the iX3 again, and then you're like,
this is so much fun.
Should be iX3, yeah.
And then also the both the fun, but then when it's like, there's traffic, I just deactivate here the assisted driving and so on. It's really tough to say. So we love both vehicles. For their own respect choices they have there. It's really tough,
We will see.
And then again, also with the seats, we like to have seat ventilation, yes. Then again, we're waiting to get for the comfort seat to get seat ventilation here in the iX3. In the GLC, the nice microfiber sport seat doesn't have seat ventilation at all. There you also have to go for the Artico base seat, which is also fine, That might be something as well. Yeah, it's also getting tough from the individual choices. Or then might the upcoming iX5 be the solution of everything?
Yeah.
So if you stay subscribed in our channel, we will soon then also present the iX5 to you.
Yes.
This will be also
And thank you so much again for all the lovely comments. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks so much for the support. Always great
Yes.
to have that one. The more I drive the iX3, the harder it gets again. Because really, I thought when we were driving the GLC, it's clearly the GLC today, you know, but now I'm driving this one here again. It's like, it's so much fun, you know. Yes, definitely louder, less suspension comfort.
But the sporty driving is also really, really...
It's amazing, yeah. It's so much fun to drive it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's like when you decide between good chocolate and very good chocolate.
Yeah, or maybe like two different, like maybe like a...
White chocolate or dark chocolate.
White chocolate,
Yeah.
dark chocolate, or like a chocolate brownie and
tastes
cookie.
Really good, but
Something.
you can't decide, yeah.
Yeah, both taste very nice, yeah. Phew. What do you think? Yeah, I think we have to keep thinking and like reorganize all our thoughts, but both are definitely very good in their own respective fields. Now to the final conclusion, which one should you pick and which one would we actually go for? What about the differences in exterior, interior, technology, price, and of course the efficiency and real-world range? So first of all, from the exterior, honestly, I prefer the GLC EQ in the front, but the iX3 in the rear. As for the interior, I have to say I appreciate both different concepts. The iX3 to me has more form follows function because of the far-away panoramic vision. However, some solutions here, like the steering wheel form and so on, are a little bit over the top. So they are, I think, a little bit more conservative approach would have been better as for the visual thing. The GLC EQ, of course, looks especially stunning with a lot of the ambient lighting and so on, if you like that. Seating comfort, it really depends on the individual seat. Comfort seat iX3, then the sport seat of the GLC EQ are the best picks here, I feel. And then you really have to see like which is the individual seat for you, but there was a lot of info on that in the interior detailed segment. The offering of space is somewhat similar, I would say. Huge difference, of course, in the driving. The iX3 is the more driver-focused car in a way of you feel more one with the vehicle, and it's definitely a sportier, stiffer setup, awaiting the adaptive suspension here for the iX3, because when you go with the base suspension here and especially larger wheels, the ride is just too rough. I think that's the biggest criticism point. So at this moment, definitely go for the 20-inch wheels, and then as soon as the adaptive suspension is available, go for the combination 20-inch wheels and adaptive suspension, very important for the iX3. With the GLC EQ, the biggest difference is, of course, when you go for that optional air suspension together in the package with the rear axis steering, and then the riding is so great. I mean, there comes hardly anything on top of that with that S-Class air suspension here. And the rear axis steering makes also maneuvering, especially like in European cities, basement garage and so on, narrow parking, so much easier. That's, of course, a big advantage then for the GLC EQ. But then again, these extra features for the GLC EQ also need to be paid. And if we directly look at the comparing price here, fully spec'd, then we're here, as it stands here right now, 86,000 euros for the iX3, as it stands here right now, and 96,000 euros for the GLC EQ. Because it has these more features and so on, and Mercedes usually puts the prices also a little bit higher. So 10,000 euros difference between these two vehicles. Yes, you do have air suspension rear axis here and there, but you also have to think about that this one comes with a 14 kilowatt hour bigger battery, faster charging, and of course efficiency and real world range is a big topic. And yeah, due to the bigger battery and also a little bit better efficiency, the iX3 leads this segment. However, there's a big surprise, naming that the GLC EQ, that the difference in efficiency and real world range is smaller the faster you drive. Why is that? It has the air suspension that goes down at higher speeds, and also the two-speed gear concept. There, the second gear basically plays out its efficiency of advantage at higher speeds. And that's why then the difference is shrinking. There is still a difference though. So now we tested at about almost 30 degrees Celsius, so almost 90 degrees Fahrenheit. These are great, even though the AC is using energy, these are great conditions because the air density is low, there's less resistance when driving, and that's why we have great figures here today. At 100 kilometers an hour, 60 miles an hour, 15 kilowatt hours on 100 kilometers for the iX3, 4.1 miles per kilowatt hour, and 130 kilometers an hour, or 80 miles an hour, there, 20 kilowatt hours on 100 kilometers, or 3.1 miles per kilowatt hour for the iX3, means a real world range of 725 kilometers or 450 miles at that 100 kilometers an hour speed, and at that 130 kilometers an hour, 80 miles an hour speed, 545 kilometers or 340 miles. Very, very good figures. And how does the GLC compare to that? So at this 100 kilometers an hour, 60 miles, we had 18 kilowatt hours or 3.45 miles per kilowatt hour. So 3 kilowatt hours more. So slightly more, yes. And that means a real range of 525 kilometers or 330 miles at that speed. Means at that 100 kilometers an hour, like slower speed, we have a range difference of 200 kilometers an hour or 125 miles an hour. So clearly, best range on a single charge, there the iX3 clearly leads it. At 130 kilometers an hour, however, 80 miles an hour, there the consumption was 21 kilowatt hours on 100 kilometers or 3 miles per kilowatt hour. Real world range, 450 kilometers or 280 miles. Then the difference here between these two shrinks to 100 kilometers or 60 miles at that higher speed. So that means on the German Autobahn, where we can often drive these higher speeds, the range difference is not that large, but when you think of US highways or inner city driving, there the range difference will be very, very significant. Makes the choice even tougher indeed. With the GLC EQ, when I drove really fast, I mean, I even tested 160 kilometers an hour, so like 100 miles per hour, and that was like 31 kilowatt hours on 1 kilometers, which is astonishing, like exponentially going up, you know, because the wind resistance is like, you know, quadruple. But it's crazy. So this one here is crazy efficient. The faster you drive, you know, in relation to other electric vehicles, and the iX3 really makes sense when you have a lot of city driving, a lot of, you know, maybe like, let's say, US highway speeds maximum, but for German Autobahn, then the GLC EQ really plays out its advantage. Yeah, and that gives us then the overall summary. Design, you can always argue what's your personal preference, but the riding itself is much more comfortable with the GLC EQ because more silent with the insulated windows, also better dampened, let's say, against sunlight with the lamination in the windows. And also the air suspension ride is so much more sophisticated. The rear X steering also helps a lot. And this efficiency, especially at higher speeds, on the cost of that the battery is smaller than with the iX3. So the iX3 has the bigger battery, a little bit quicker charging, feels maybe a little bit more connected to the driver. However, the riding then is definitely rougher from a suspension, but you should go for the comfort seat, then you have the best seating overall. Yeah, and then summing up, it's really tough to say because I love both vehicles and I would take both in a heartbeat, and there still goes recommendation out to both of them. However, bottom line, when you are willing to pay the extra price, that's 10,000 euro extra, and that can also mean a couple of €100 more in the leasing rate, then the GLC EQ would be mine, also our favorite pick here today, because that air suspension comfort and also the calmness at higher speeds from the better noise insulation and so on was really the convincing factor that we would say, hey, especially in Germany where we go also at least 130 kilometers an hour on the motorway, then the range difference is shrinking a little bit and we could actually live with that. Nevertheless, considering the battery size, it's still a good deal and it's a great ride, the iX3. And when they soon offer the seat ventilation and also the adaptive suspension, it becomes even better. And you also have to think about that this one here has the 130 kilometers an hour hands-off, and the assistance system application is the best overall on the market at the moment in iX3 and i3, and soon also in the iX5, for example. Whereas here with the assistance systems, Mercedes are good, but not on the level like BMW is. And soon we also expect that they maybe also add then this hands-free feature. So you can see Both have their distinctive feature, but the overall winner for us today is the GLC EQ. That doesn't mean that we still would also recommend the iX3, no doubt about that. The Volvo EX60 we have soon also portrayed for you. We also await your comments which pair we should compare next. Maybe Volvo EX60 against iX3 or GLC EQ. So check that one out. And of course, the fourth in this pair could be a Porsche Macan, but also an Audi Q6 e-tron.